Good morning and welcome to Jasiri. It's Monday and we're easing into a new week with open eyes, steady hearts, and conversations that help us make sense of the world around us. Now, whether you're shaking off the weekend or stepping into your stride, Catherine, I can see you, we're here to bring clarity, context, and connection, one story at a time, because even as we take it slow, there's always something worth pausing for, something worth understanding just a little deeper. This is Jasiri. Let's begin the week together. Ladies, Catherine, how's the weekend?
So look, can you just shift your, just a little? Wow.
Yeah, go.
Hey, go.
I'll tell you,
weekend is blessed.
I'll tell you on national television.
If you see what Catherine was doing before the camera went on her, I was wondering that, have we taken her back to the village? This cross-rivarian, I mean, where's she from?
I had to embrace and recognize.
Wow. Embrace and recognize.
And recognize the beauty of God's creation.
Wow.
Sometimes you take it for granted.
Yeah.
So,
because you're wearing a shirt today, button to the top.
no, I don't know.
No, because she's not wearing a short dress.
No.
Skirts.
Wow.
And she can sit down confidently.
Yes. That's what's doing Catherine to
How
her.
was your weekend?
He is without sin.
Cat's the first stone.
Where?
Honestly, I didn't think that the show would start like this, but
Let's go do some
the
Monday.
lady just looking.
How was the weekend?
I didn't see her shirt when you make up.
No, I'm
Okay,
going
that's
to you
why.
people. How was the
Weekend.
Weekend though.
What did you do?
Nothing. I worked. I was shooting.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, weekdays you are busy, so weekends is what, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I in the wake-up, I was saying, when I was thinking, I said the weekend. It was as if I didn't have a weekend.
It's made in China, like they say, it doesn't last.
It doesn't last.
You
The
just,
weekend
before you realize,
breezes.
I just realized that I've not posted in how many. I'm working and I'm not posting. How do you guys do it? Like, my social media is bereft.
I don't. Is yours as bad
life.
as mine?
No.
Hers is worse than me.
How can she?
If God says the trumpet will sound on Instagram, I will have to beg, please. I beg, let me just tell my fellow sister here.
Because you will never know.
Everybody will have gone. Can you not be like,
Who's everybody? You know, we all left like
How you
Instagram.
got outing?
I will shock people.
Shock us.
Shock us. How you got outing?
Whoa!
That was
was it yesterday? I said Catherine showed somebody something on her phone. I was like, Catherine show you something on Instagram. And I know it's not Instagram. I said, better. It was something marketing. I said, hey,
This is so unfair.
I will have to beg the agent, please. Just let me tell this fellow sister of mine.
I tend to Instagram. Instagram does me.
Lola is my inspiration. Like,
But you know the struggle. You know, because if we're not active on social media, that's where marketing happens. That's where you're selling everything you're doing on a daily basis. So if people just feel, oh, do you know some people can give you a job because they think you've gone abroad?
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's gone on vacation. That means she's not poor.
somebody called me. Somebody called me for a job and told me.
Yeah.
The person said, I was told that you are not active on Instagram. You are not as. I said no. I'm active. He said no, you are not as active. So I felt, well.
And all these YouTube
it's
filmmakers,
crazy.
they want you to be on Instagram dancing and checking.
Because the number, they believe that the number of followers you have should translate to the number of
Honestly,
views
that's
for
why I've
the-
not even posted a new film on my channel, because I need to do some dancing and singing. So I'm about to do
Now, is it by dancing? Is it by the dancing?
It's not dancing until somebody discovers another thing that catches attention. But now I know that a lot of...
Do you know the funny thing? Most times, I think the deception is that, well, it's not a deception because sometimes your numbers also translates to money. But there are people who are not putting the numbers, but they're active. So I've had clients reach out to me, and that's how I realized that the highlights I post on the stories is even more important than the post.
There are more views on stories than most time
somebody
on
sent
posts.
me a highlight that you can't save. So apparently they recorded it and said, we just like this part of you. That's why we want to work with you. Like, it was so shocking. So you don't even know what part of you was
Actually, and then what works for you may not be what works for her or me. So I think if you just find your niche, Sometimes, you know, I can go a weekend without social media and I'm good.
It's just like me and TikTok, we don't gel. And TikTok is a social media that would say would work for somebody like me that loves drama.
Yeah.
But the horrors I see there just
doesn't make you want to open the app.
It doesn't. I won't lie to you. TikTok terrifies me. As in, if I'm about to watch, I'm anxious that I'm going to see something I do not like, and everybody is wild on the streets of TikTok.
To be honest, on Instagram, you see a lot of pressure. Instagram is related to LinkedIn, but in the unprofessional way.
I don't like the interface. I don't like LinkedIn. Instagram is more attractive to the eye.
I like pictures
than TikTok.
I can scroll
out LinkedIn.
On this
serious
TikTok,
stuff.
on this TikTok, on this TikTok note, we actually joined the TikTok challenge. So you guys need to, you need to look out for it on News Central's TikTok account. Some people bring random things to work. Somebody brought something red and lacy.
No.
Did I mention somebody's name?
Behind our back.
Did I mention anyone's name?
What are you even
It's guilt that makes people to talk like me. I said someone brought something red and lacy. Did I say woo? Let's move on. Thank you.
Let's move on because.
So how was your weekend, Lola?
Okay, my weekend was very eventful.
This is so chaotic. Are you guys okay?
We're fine. You're fine. You make chaos happen, and you now act demure.
Yes.
That is so wicked.
That's true. Do you know that she lost it and then she now everybody like, no, you guys.
I just realized hot pink number, and everybody will be like gobsmacked for a few minutes.
I just kept staring like, what is it I'm missing?
You were talking about your weekend.
Okay, my weekend was
Why is it so hard to talk about the weekend?
I don't.
Because this is a chaotic intro. I don't understand. Let's try again. Lola, your weekend.
My weekend was eventful.
Okay.
I had to host a 50th birthday on Saturday, which I loved. I loved the ambience.
So good.
Oh, thank you so much. I found it. I said this year I was going to tie head a little more, and I found out that we can actually tie head to maybe like a dress. That is not even like
straight
native, and it worked perfectly.
Really what made you tie your head at that point?
They said black and gold, just glam. So I just wanted to do something a bit African, and I know the person ties a lot of gele. So I just felt like, okay, to be at home. And when I just swore it was just perfect. And I love the fact that it was a house party, but it felt like we're in an event center. It was tastefully designed. Kiar, well done, Queen Roni. It was tastefully designed. Now I know we can actually have a party, in a small space, and it to be as classy
as you want it to be.
The only thing you needed to do that day was maybe move that party into a hall. The ambience was as beautiful. It was black and gold. No, it was really lovely. And on Sunday, a friend of mine opened her Ademiju 24-3. Yeah, she opened a flagship store in Omoli. So I had to go there. And of course, when you go, you got to spend money.
The one that you made from them, you appreciating you.
They sprayed me money.
They don't spend any more.
No, they gave me money.
Yes, thank you very much.
They gave me money in my hands.
Auntie, anything for us?
This one was so busy. She chopped us with all our events. No. She even made us feel like we have done that.
So here's the thing. I don't post real time. I learned that from Salem King. I don't post real time because, again, for safety reasons, you don't want people knowing where you are at the time. I can never post. So what I post is maybe the week before or maybe highest the day before. I was in my house posting all that.
So are you telling us that the gliss of your wristwatch is matching your earrings? Are you feeling sparkly? Like, everything about you is shiny and you're...
Post real time wristwatch.
No, you were waving your hands for
the correlation.
She was waving her hands for us to see the diamond studded wristwatch
equals Q squared. I mean, what was that?
Have you not noticed my new glasses? Don't you guys think we ate? It's eating everything.
You ate and let me know.
Like, got these frames.
Let's see this.
Yeah,
quiet. I think that it was.
She wore a racy outfit.
I'm confessing on my own.
Somebody's house husband.
Happy belated birthday, Blessing Adeshia. She's one of our favorite guests here on Jasiri. She turned a year older, had a house party. I haven't been to a house party in a while. Had a fantastic house party.
Only you wait. Did you come here? Jasiri? I don't understand.
Convince Mr. B to follow me because I knew what I had plans of.
Because she wore a racy outfit. The slit of the dress, you don't need a magnifying glass.
Did she post it?
And the plunge. Wow. And it was silk on top.
And it was sunset colors.
That's
my skin was just glowing.
Glowing.
Wow. On that note, we're going to go on a break because I apologize on behalf of the ladies. This was the most chaotic intro we've had in a very, very long time.
Because the whole idea is being at home on this table, not literally.
No, just go out the table because go on a break.
It's borderline.
Cool.
I goofed real good. Okay. What's a Hot Topics Monday without bringing you up to speed with an update on suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan following her controversial suspension from the Senate. Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ruled that her suspension was unconstitutional, unlawful, and of no legal effect. Justice Bintyako, who delivered the judgment, stated that no legislative chamber has the power to suspend a member in a way that robs constituents of representation. Now, she ordered the Senate to reinstate Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan immediately. But here's where it gets more interesting. Now, while the ruling is clear, the Senate says it hasn't yet received the certified true copy of the judgment and will only act once that document is in hand. Until then, they're not moving. Meanwhile, the senator herself has said that she will resume her legislative duties this Tuesday regardless.
The judgment has received a lot of praise online, both from Nigerians, advocacy groups, and more, calling it a powerful step towards protecting elected officials, especially women, from political silencing and institutional bullying. But we know that this is not the end of the matter, given the stance of the Senate. And let's also add that Justice Bintyako also fined Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan 5 million naira for her satirical apology post on her Facebook page on April 27th. And I know we talked about that. We talked about what was going on with that apology. Even the courts had an issue with the apology. So yes, fined 5 million, but said that she can resume to the Senate. Now, will Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan find herself free to enter the Red Chamber, or will we witness yet another showdown in this saga? We'll be watching closely tomorrow to see what happens. Here are some reactions to the latest happenings in this case. Let's take some reactions now. Illegal and unconstitutional. This is from Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan herself. Suspension quashed. Thank you, great people, for your support. Together, we redefine leadership. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for Kogi Central of Kogi State for Nigeria.
Other reactions?
All right, hopefully we'll get some more reactions in just a moment. But ladies, a very interesting update to this case we followed for a while now. 5 million naira as a fine against her for her satirical apology, but the Justice Bintyako describing her 6-month suspension as excessive and also highlighting the fact that it was denying her constituents the rights of representation.
You know, I almost sang out a song out where I say, we shall overcome. But you know that when we see the beauty of the justice system, I like when we can just get something that is contrary. You know, everybody was just feeling like, at a point, I cannot lie to you, I was feeling this wasn't going to end this way. I felt it was good, the court was just going to uphold that. Whatever happened, the suspension would stay. But the fact that we had a judge pronounce something different from what would have been expected, it should make everybody applaud the judiciary, at least for this ruling. So I really, I'm very happy about the ruling. Even the fine, I feel, yeah, justified, because somehow something shall must go down. That, oh, this some kind of consequence, punishment, because I know that this can't just go down without. But I'm just hoping that the Senate will not make this something. They should be magnanimous. They should allow this and let's move on.
But it's not about a matter of allowing. What they would do if they deny her access to the Red Chamber and deny her to sit is that they would be contravening
the Constitution.
Order. And remember when this happened, we had a number of lawyers that we spoke to, and they said before that the courts have ruled that you cannot indefinitely suspend. You cannot even give 6 months suspension. That the most is maybe 14 days, 2 weeks of suspension. That anything above and beyond that is excessive and illegal.
But you know that
they were going into the suspension. Wait, is Akpabio not a lawyer? No, I want to clarify. I'm not asking for, but even as they were going into the suspension, there were people among the senators who knew that this suspension likely would not hold up in court.
But you know that Nigeria is a peculiar country. Exactly. Even if they will not do it, this is a country that thrives on doing things not by the book. Yeah. So I know that we might be surprised tomorrow that they pull out something, another rabbit out of a hat, that everybody will be like, wow, we're here again. Yeah. Because there are so many legal angles. Now they are saying we haven't gotten the certified true copy. They might say we haven't gotten the judgment of the court. It will become another hula baloo that maybe somebody will become pushed and somebody have to push back.
I don't think
it becomes another, we're back in court.
Regardless though, I won't lie, this is like the first time I'm surprised at a verdict. And I'm not saying that our judicial system is total trash, but I'm saying we know how Nigeria is. Like Lola said, it's a peculiar country. Before you know it, either the case is dragging for 2 years and I wonder, are we still on this Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan case? Or nothing is done and everybody just keeps mute and she keeps fighting on one end and people are upholding the suspension on another. So I'm glad that this has even come to light, that the fact that they say that it's unconstitutional, I mean, it's unanimously say that it's unconstitutional. There was a time I was scared, to be honest, because Natasha was almost borderline, tracking the case by herself.
Of course, when they said that the federal government has joined in the action, I'm like, I think
for me is that it was the voices that believed that this wasn't going to hold water were in the minority. And as it is in Nigeria, being it's a peculiar country and how we weigh things, we use sentiments first, emotions before reasoning. A lot of people didn't think that it will turn out this way, which is an interesting turn of events in Nigeria. It gives people kind of, even if it's a thin line hope that, okay, you don't just assume that, oh no, nothing good will come out of Nazareth. But this has happened. I think now what the Senate and the Red Chamber and, I think what they're doing is they're going to be looking for new things to make stick on the senator.
To hang around.
They're waiting for her to resume tomorrow, and when she resumes, they're going to come up with something. They intend, it seems like they are going to be intending to make her life hell as long as she's in the Senate chamber, and just to prove a point that you cannot, in quotes, be raising your shoulder higher than the Senate president. So I don't think it's going to end here.
I would just implore Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan to please exercise caution no matter what happens tomorrow. We don't want, there's a way that they can act that would make you do something. I would rather she just sheaths her sword and not do anything and allow the law fight.
Which account does it go to?
Okay, so wait, let's even talk about that apology. We spoke about it a bit when it happened, and she said in the apology, it is with the deepest sarcasm and utmost theoretical regret that I tender this apology for the grievous crime of possessing dignity and self-respect in your exalted presence. I have reflected extensively on my unforgivable failure to recognize that legislative success in certain quarters is apparently not earned through merit, but through the ancient art of compliance of a very personal kind. She also alleged that her refusal to give in to inappropriate sexual advances from Godswill Akpabio, who is the Senate president, contributed to her suspension. So, and I want us to go back to that suspension just a little bit, because this is all, at the end of the day, this is the National Assembly, this is the Red Chamber, this is the Senate president. Again, we emphasize the third man in the country by order of hierarchy and everything. And let's not forget that they wanted to investigate her. The Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges investigated her and passed judgment on her. But she also had gone to the courts suing the clerk of the Senate president, and the Senate, as well as Neda Imaswin, formerly of Labour Party, but has now become an APC member, who was chairman of the committee. These connections are interesting. So despite her suit and the initial restraining order that was issued by a former judge, Obiora Iguatu, asking the Senate to stay action on its disciplinary proceedings, the Senate went ahead to suspend her for 6 months in March. So there was already a court judgment that the Senate flouted. And I really hope we're not seeing a situation in which the Senate, which is the highest law-making body in Nigeria, sits down comfortably to be flouting court orders. Because then you tell us that it is open season, which is really already has been on the flouting of court orders. From the presidency to governorships to different agencies and different levels of government, people have flouted court orders. But it should not be the Senate. Let's say it, even if it is, but it should not be the Senate that does not uphold, that does not even help the integrity of courts in our country. If they say that she's not suspended, she must resume. Don't be dilly-dallying like Lola said. Don't be saying you're waiting for certified transport to come and give you CTC. Go and get it, do this thing, and let's just all be watching and waiting.
No,
carefully.
we're not wired. We're not wired to be like that, to be that organized. We're not.
We're not. No. So additionally, I like what the judge also said. She acknowledged that the powers of the Senate to discipline that the Senate did have powers to discipline erring senators, but that she ruled that suspending a senator for 6 months, which is the equivalent of 181 days that the National Assembly is expected to sit, was unconstitutional. The 6-month suspension amounted to silencing the senator's entire constituency for a whole year. Yeah. There are 365 days in a year. The Senate sits, did you hear that? The Senate sits for 181 days. Let's talk about that first. But in those 181 days, that's the 6 months. So if you suspend her, that means effectively that Kogi Central had no representation
for that long.
For that long. Is this what we're doing?
And Nigeria is like the ego of men and women, and then the constitution.
Yeah.
We don't care about
you feel like there has to be something that gives them gumption to flout court ruling. Because if you're flouting court rulings...
A lack of consequences. Because in all honesty, if you flout court rulings, what happens? What is the consequence for flouting court rulings in Nigeria? What is the consequence?
I think it just lays bad precedents if the people that were considering that, oh, you are the lawmakers. That means, do you know how powerful the legislature is? It's the arm of government that makes sure the laws that the judiciary interprets, they're the ones that make them. So if the makers of the law are now the ones that flout it, it just makes me feel as if, okay, are we saying that there's true division of power, or everybody can just do it? It's open season, everybody can just graze anywhere they like and do it. Even if the court gives a ruling, nobody's going to obey it.
This has been on since February 2025. Wow. Some would say a little bit before that, because there was that comment that Senate President Akpabio made on the floor of the Senate during some, I think some back and forth, some debate. Earlier, mid last year, but then it really blew up in February 2025, and there's a lot. There are, 2 attempts at recalling, issues around the phone numbers and email addresses of those who wanted to recall her being. It's just been a soap opera. We have the final statements, or rather the final reactions to this. Let's take them quickly and then we'll go on a break. All right, but just familiarize yourself with this, because I don't think this is the end of it. We will update it up to the point in which she resumes in the Senate and also takes her assigned seat.
Yes.
That might be another thing.
Yeah.
Another thing. I'm just waiting for tomorrow.
No, you know, we have that. I think Nigerians have that. Oh, our men have that. Who does she think she is? Even our women do have it. Who does she think she is? She's going to saunter in here and... You know, we have that.
And reclaim.
It has nothing to do with
They put her in her place and she took out and she came out of her place.
Who does she think she is?
I think she should also not get carried away.
That's what I'm begging her. I want her to exercise caution.
Because I think there was a bit of carrying away when she was in her hometown and the statement she was making. I know that continues to be a case for, I think, defamation against the Senate President and the former governor of Kogi State in terms of her alleging that they tried to kill her. So it is just a lot. We are hoping to put this to bed, and honestly, we don't want it to be any more chaotic. Can we have some newer things happening? Maybe some actual laws being made, or controversial laws, you know. Let's see some action.
Don't worry, there's action coming up. The local government elections are this weekend. So
have you been seeing their rallies and everything?
We have. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we head to LASU, where interestingly enough, 2 lecturers have found themselves on the outside of the university community. We'll talk to you about that after the break.
My alma mater.
You're still watching Jasiri, and please feel free to join the conversation. We are live on all our social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. All right, so let's get into this story. In a bold move that sparked national conversation, Lagos State University LASU has formally sacked 2 senior lecturers accused of shocking misconduct, including, guess what, sexual harassment, inhuman treatment, and financial fraud. Here's what we know. The allegations against Dr. Olatunji Abanikonda, former dean at LASU's Epe Agricultural Campus, include subjecting 400-level students to appalling conditions, forcing them to work on the farm from 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. with no food, no water, no shelter, even during torrential rain. Shocking video evidence of students drenched and exposed prompted widespread outrage. Abanikonda also allegedly sexually harassed female students. He abused his position through threats and insults and demanded unauthorized fees from both staff and students.
Then there's Dr. Khadija Karim Ibrahim, coordinator in animal sciences at the same campus. It is alleged that she diverted proceeds from farm produce, an estimated 10.6 million naira, into her personal account, flouting university financial regulations. Now, at its 443rd Governing Council meeting, LASU Council took decisive action, citing total disregard to the conditions of service for senior staff, the one in 2017, which led to their immediate dismissal. The university emphasized that upholding academic integrity and student welfare is non-negotiable. And there's also the bigger picture. The situation has raised urgent questions about campus accountability. What system failed these students? How was such blatant abuse allowed to continue? It also brings a spotlight on sexual harassment and power abuse in Nigerian tertiary institutions, a persistent yet under-addressed problem. However, LASU's swift dismissal may signal an emerging culture of zero tolerance, a potential turning point in ensuring student safety and institutional transparency. Let's see what the reactions have been. This is interesting.
Say no more.
Social media is really helping out these days. Otherwise, this man will remain in office till he decides to retire. LASU on the race to change, a better one. But if we deal with the perpetrators, we need to deal with the initiators as well to make the equations balanced. Some students have the orientation that sex and money can pave ways for them, depriving hard-working students. I'm sure if this didn't make it to the internet, the school would have swept it under the rug. He got what he deserved. God is great, Sha. This man that said he will send me away from Faculty of Science. Chai, God is good. Wow. Statistics 101 and 102, the fear of Abanikonda. The fear of Abanikonda was the beginning of wisdom. Not sure how I feel, but I guess you get what you serve. He was rather inhumane even to me. And that's our very own Mazino. The way the average Nigerian abuses any level of power they are given, you will know that there's something fundamentally wrong with the whole country. It gets as we be. And that is so. And so, you know, we talk about this day about Nigerians, wherever you put them in a small place, they want to exercise the power. From the gatesman to the receptionist, to the secretary, to the person even just opening the door. All of a sudden, they are the king or queen in their tiny domain. And you know why? My theory is that because so many Nigerians are powerless in so many other areas of their life. We're powerless to control things with our politicians. We're powerless to control how the economy is. We're powerless to control how the country is. So in that space where we have power, we exercise it like if we don't exercise this power, we're just going to die.
You know, when I see stories like this, what comes to my mind is the government is a reflection of the people. The government came from the people. Because honestly, imagine someone like this being the next president.
Hey, no, you're going too far. Vice Chancellor, or even chosen to sit on a panel. We like to put professors and deans. Honestly, they do things with INEC. They do things with so many different agencies. Someone like this sitting there to represent.
It doesn't even make any sense. To show you, to think about how long he has been in that position and how long he has been doing this. Did you hear the comments? Even our own Mazino was saying, everybody, there was just a consensus, unanimous, that said the fear of this man was the beginning of wisdom, so to say. The fear of this one, which showed a man that abuses, people will say, okay, someone is not guilty until you're innocent until proven guilty. But if everybody is singing the same song, what is the likelihood or what's the probability that the person whose character is being described is not far from the truth?
You know, I went to LASU, and I know it's the same across board. It doesn't even matter what school you go to. There will be that lecturer. I know that at the time that we had to take, you know, some outside courses outside the law department, I cannot even begin to mention names. Honestly, you will be terrified. There was a lecturer that actually made my sister have an extra year. I will never forget because I wasn't even in the uni. She took me to his house to beg on her knees. And this man still insisted that it's either she's going to give sex for grade or she should forget it. She had to do an extra year. You know, when she recounts the story again, I'm like, wow. And I was quite young at that time. So he gave me like a phobia. I would hardly go to a lecturer's office throughout my university years. If it's not about work,
in that position.
I just don't want to be visible. Yeah. You know, I'm endowed in so many ways. I just don't want to be visible. Yeah. But now that...
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you try to hide because I remember when I was in school, my experience was insane. I almost redid my project because my project supervisor was unhappy at the fact that the other lecturer she was dating, and I didn't even know they were dating, talked about me, like just mentioned my name in her office. I almost redid my entire project. We did not know why until she started mentioning, oh, Shebi, Shebi is talking about you, and we were now trying to trace, like I begged for days and weeks on end.
It shouldn't be. Social media is helping. And I really must commend the leadership, the Governing Council of LASU, for standing in front of this and doing the right thing, and being decisive.
And I think they're doing the right thing because they want to, not because of social media. Because this has
in all honesty, even if it's because of social media, let them do it.
How many times have you seen things put on social media
and nothing
goes back as it is? But they suspend, they dismissed. That is something huge. Do you know how many students will be dancing and happy that they don't have to face the words of this terrible man? Imagine if he was just suspended and called back.
Sex
by the time he comes back.
Somebody made
about initiators. I was waiting for you guys.
And I said, listen, even if a young girl or young boy or I don't care. Even if they feel that they must submit sex for grades or they
even try to accept it,
must you accept it? Must you? You can walk away from there. Everybody has their work thinking, but do not compromise your office. Do not compromise the powers or the trappings that come with your office. Yeah. Do not do that. That says it has nothing to do with the person. It says it has everything to do with you.
And I absolutely agree with that, because I think what we miss in the issues that happen with sexual harassment most times is that it is an abuse of the power you wield over somebody. Yeah. Somehow, somewhere, you're either their superior, you're either in a position of authority over them, or you are friends with somebody who has a position of authority. You shall somehow have something that you can hold over them that can influence them to do what you want. There is not a level playing field between the two of you. So therefore, when you talk about initiators, yes, they will, because people will try it. Yes. But the larger responsibility is on the lecturers and those in authority in school to cut it.
Yeah, another thing is that everything that is yin-yang, I believe in equality of justice. If you are an initiator, I tell everyone, in this 21st century, if I'm a lecturer in the school, I will have CCTV camera in my office. 24 hours. In 2 angles or 3.
Listen, so that whatever lecturer,
office,
whatever is a male student, not every door must you pass through.
Yes, a glass door. You can see through.
Literal, yes.
So if you come and initiate anything in my office, you will be caught on camera, and my stance will be seen also. In fact, I did MC a school recently, you know, one of these high-grade schools, and I felt so sorry for the teachers, because looking at them, you could see that they were so cautious with the students, and I commended that. Yeah. Because if you teach in a high-powered school, these children of today.
I told you guys when I came back.
I know some of them are powerful initiators.
I had a lecturer picking on me from 100 level. If anybody from my set, they know the lecturer. From 100 level up to almost 200 level into 300. I didn't know I had complained so much at home. Only for me, one day, they came and called me out of class. My father came. It became an issue with the VC and the register. After that, the man came to class and said, some of you, you know, we can't touch some of you. We should not say anything to some of you. It's not about you not saying anything to me. You were literally picking on me, harassing me, making me a point of ridicule in front of the class. That's not lecturing. That's not teaching.
You see, and listen, if you could
I'll always hold my father in regard for doing that.
And not pass through all of this, then you don't know what, as they say in street parlors, you don't know what God has done for you.
That it's not just women.
I
remember my elder sisters, one of my elder sisters' course mates, a guy was, I think he liked a girl that a lecturer liked.
That was it. That was the end of Solomon. That was it. All right, so let's go on a short break, guys. When we come back on Just Me, we'll be on the home stretch of the show. Stay with us.
Welcome back. This is Jasiri. Of course, we're living in very interesting times. Our final story is stirring a lot of debate online currently. It involves a Nigerian migrant worker in the UK facing possible deportation due to a comment he made. It was a post by @Mufti of Ilorin online. Let's see what the story is all about.
One of our guys here in UK will face disciplinary committee on Tuesday at his workplace because he told his white female colleagues, I guess it's one colleague, that she's adding weight, and if she enters gym, her shape will really make sense. The lady said she's traumatized by his remarks about her body. Mufti of Ilorin continues and says, all I'm praying for right now is for him to be warned of or something, because that's the company that sponsored his visa to UK. And if they terminate the appointment, it means he will have to leave the UK. This same guy was asking two of his colleagues who are lesbians, how did they have their daughter? He was warned and protected by the then acting director of the company because the acting director is a Nigerian. I'm just too sad and worried about him, FFS, if you know what I mean.
Concern him.
You know that thing you're doing in Nigeria? That thing you're doing in Nigeria that you got away with, that people are telling you what's your business, that you did not listen. You carried your bad behavior to the UK, and now it's going to cost you.
What is what you are singing?
That's ambition nonsense.
Because you take our bad behavior. You know that behavior that we see, Tolu?
You've been here.
I don't even know why people say that. Tolu, what have you been eating? It's like you're gaining weight, you know, you cannot allow yourself to, and they go in their mind. In their mind.
You see this thing, this first one is not even majorly my problem. When I saw the one he did before,
started laughing.
No, yes, because when I saw the one he did before, I just thought about it. I'm like, you see, Nigerians and culture. It's good to uphold culture. But the way we carry culture on our head, we're cultural, we shouldn't lose our we shouldn't lose our values. It's not everywhere. Even if you see it, you keep quiet. You will see parents at a wedding staring at maybe a queer person or something, and they're looking at in the eye. We need to learn to embrace other people's culture. As long as it's not your child doing it, as long as you have no business with who's doing it, you don't have to say it's not even embrace. It's to learn to tolerate your business. Why are you asking people how they
I blame the acting director that was a Nigerian, because in all honesty, that man probably covered him, probably called him and had a conversation. Yes, and probably told him, you know these people. They say, you know, they don't have culture like that. So it wasn't, he didn't feel the consequence of it.
Yes,
and do you know that this
but to be honest, would I not have done the same thing for another Nigerian? Because I know how Nigerians are. I would have called you and said, look, I understand what you're saying, but let's just mind our business.
Didn't do anything wrong. It is him, because that bad is following him. The acting director would have said, listen, guys,
you don't talk like that here.
Just I would advise you, just mind your business, face your front, and that's it. But because of that bad attitude, this has nothing to do with village people. It is him himself.
And in his mind, he's probably thinking he's paying her a compliment, because he said your shape will make sense after you lose.
Makes sense to
this woman can be battling depression, and this can trigger her. That, I look wretched. See the way my colleague at work said.
You know that when they say in Nigeria, when they say stop body shaming people,
we don't get it.
Yes, you see in the comment section. In the comment section, you now see people saying you have started enabling this thing. If you are fat, you are fat. We need to tell you the truth. That's the consequence. This is it.
And you know another part of this thing that that I find interesting. He's doing all of this, you know, and he might lose his visa. But in the long run, has he learned his lesson?
Has he learned
his lesson? And it's somebody else using something wrong. Because you know what, we had a conversation a few weeks ago about the Nigerian man who sexually assaulted the young girl. And what did he tell her?
In Nigeria,
There was another one that kissed. He was a carer. He was a Nigerian carer who kissed patient who was supposed to take care. There's bad behavior. Last year we talked about the guy, Nigerian guy who went to go and meet an underage child. Hello, are you seeing a connection to the dots that I'm laying out?
Please, let's see reactions. I want to see the reactions, please, guys. Okay, some people don't know there are topics that's too sensitive for discussion. But it's shaming.
Because in Nigeria, you don't have anything that's sensitive. May God come through for him. It is a very difficult situation. I pray he gets away with a strike or put on parole. Second time, you want God to come through for him. He should be punished, please. Not necessarily deportation, but I sincerely hope he doesn't get away with it. Suspension or anything, because there's possibility he's doing it again, and he'd reference how he got away, even in a developed country. Like, if you want to jackpot, learn the culture of the place you're going to. These people do not want your respect. They don't want your advice. They didn't ask for it. They're not looking for it. They don't want.
When we see queer people,
our eyes, if you're going too far with queer people, when Nigerians see overweight people abroad,
they just can't think.
Sometimes you be in the train, I would never forget. Maybe because that was the first time I would see such a thing where two, queer people would, and abroad, nobody
cares.
They were busy tonguing each other in the train. I was like, I did everything to be stoic. Because if you look too much,
exactly.
Our expression comes with mouth open.
Oh my God,
eyes bulging.
No, honestly, I think that we've gotten to the point where, look at other people trying so hard to embrace Nigerian culture, but Nigerians, in fact, my mother did something recently when we brought her to Lagos. We were at, I don't want to mention the name of the place, but we were at a place we went to look at the view, the water and all, and then a white girl was jogging past. And she went past not even, she was wearing, like, my mom didn't have a problem with that. When she jogged past, my mom was like, what is that?
What is that? No, this one cannot agree. We're going. As we ease into the new week, trust us to have you covered with all the news and happenings on News Central, and to go deeper into the stories that matter on Jasiri. So as you go into the rest of your Monday, unlike these ladies here, carry this with you. We've got you. This is Jasiri. We're even on a slow morning. We keep showing up with the stories that matter. See you tomorrow. She should greet your mom.